I'm Margaret Lees. I moved to Harwell in January 1962.
Right, okay. And Audrey, what about you?
I'm Audrey Croftley and I came to live in Harwell in 1955.
Right.
I'm Kathleen Lay and I came to live in Harwell in September 1954.
My husband and I moved to Harwell because my husband was moving from Harwell to Cullen, and so we came and we bought one of the new bungalows then in Barrow Road.
Right. And had you been brought up in this area?
I was born in Plymouth
Right.
and lived in Cornwall, then in Newbury, and then finally in Harwell.
Audrey?
Well, I came to Harwell as a young bride in 1955. I worked up at Harwell and so did my husband, and that's how it all started, I'm afraid, you know.
And I married a farmer in 1954. He was the brother of the girl I nursed with in London, and that's why I came to Harwell.
It was a lovely, lovely little village.
More shops.
Yes.
Yes.
3 butchers.
3
Yes.
butchers.
5 pubs.
Yeah.
2, 3 butchers.
Mrs. Mitchell had a little
Yeah.
grocery shop.
Paper shop.
Okay.
Missed the post office.
Yeah, we do miss
A
that.
lot of people do.
Yeah, I mean that was the hub of the village, wasn't it? Especially on pension day, everybody met everybody else and caught up with what was going on and that. But
And all the local business gossip.
I think a lot of the older people really
Yeah.
found that very
People
difficult.
found out if somebody was unwell and things like that. Well, we had a very thriving co-op in the middle of
We
the
did,
road.
didn't we?
Oh, we did, yes.
Yeah.
And it delivered.
Yeah.
And
we had Mr. Knots.
And we had bread delivered.
Yeah.
Bread delivered,
Yeah.
fish delivered. 3 butchers.
We was very lucky really, wasn't
It
we?
was a good village for sure.
And Mrs. Mitchell had a little shop.
Yeah,
remember?
yeah.
Um,
Sold papers and
I
cards.
think going back to the pubs, I do remember that the White Hart, a lot of the elderly, well of course it seemed elderly then, gentlemen all used to meet there, but they didn't do any food. And with the, the food that comes now, I think the elderly men got they felt a bit turned out.
Or shops in Didcot used to deliver.
Mm.
You know, I
Yes.
used to go down the bottom end of Didcot and they used to deliver, you know.
That's right.
But,
International stores.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you would buy it
International.
and pay for it. And
yeah, and they would, and
Yeah.
I think probably when we did, because we lived in Berkshire, you tended to think that you were Berkshire, so therefore Reading
we had
was
to
your
go
shopping
to
town.
Reading, yeah.
Whereas now, probably because we live in Oxfordshire, Oxford is our shopping town.
Down the village, and everyone you saw you knew.
Mm.
But it's a bit different today. You go down the village and if you see someone you know, it's a miracle.
But even you didn't know, everybody said hello,
Yeah.
you automatically said hello. But obviously, as we said, it's not such a friendly village in a way, but I think it's still got good village feeling about it, rather than being a small town or whatever. Whether we should become part of Didcot is another story.
Well, we used to have a clinic, didn't we,
Yes.
in the village hall?
Yeah.
So, you know, to go and get the babies weighed and
Orange juice.
orange juice and things like that. Well, we had the ladies group and we all used to, well, it was young wives then,
That's right.
and we used to take the young, the babies in the prams, but as they got older, the young wives became ladies group. Typical village school, really.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Mr. Smith
Mr. Smith.
was headmaster and he had a dog and the children were frightened of the dog, I remember. I do remember at one time there were 2 classes being held in class where one of my girls was. So there were 2 different teachers, I think, in the same room trying to teach.
Mine went to St. Brian, that's my 3 boys.
Right.
Barry went to St Helens, Hazel went to St Fry's Wides,
They used to have the youth club, and that's in the Freeman Hall, wasn't it?
Yes.
Named after them.
And they had girls' brigade.
They used to have the youth club, and that's in the Freeman Hall, wasn't it?
Yes.
Named after them.
And they had girls' brigade.
Yeah. They had far more respect for their
Yes.
elders than what they have today.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of vandalism, and that went on in those days. Well, not that we knew of.
No.
Naughty didn't quite go as far as it does today.
No, you know, they were reprimanded and took notice in those days. But
Was there a policeman in the village?
yes,
Yes.
George.
That's right.
Remember George?
Yeah,
Yeah, he was. You could always see George on his bike going along the village street, couldn't you?
That's right.
Talking to all the youngsters, and yes, he was.
He got more sussed out.
Yeah, he did. Well, we had the Young Wives group, which was associated with the church, and we used to meet in the afternoons, as I said, but when things, you know, when all the children sort of flew the nest sort of thing, we went call it Young Wives, and Young Wives didn't sort of fit in after that. So it's now open to anybody, you know, sort of.
So I guess there was a tendency then for people to wait until the children were a bit older before they
Well, a friend of mine
an
came.
exception, Casper.
A friend of mine came to WI, Mary Turner, and she said, "Why don't you come to WI?" I said, "Oh, no, I'm not ready to join those old people yet." She said, "Well, they're not." She said, "You'd enjoy it." She said, "It would be a night away from the children." So I thought, oh, well, why not? And the rest is history. I joined in February 1959. That's 51 years this year.
I joined in '62, just after I just came in.
I used to come with mother-in-law because she played the piano, and it was held in the afternoon. I think I came as a visitor for quite a while. I can't remember when I joined. I think about 1955 or 6.
It's changed a lot. Some things for the better, some not. But it's the way life goes. Life doesn't go on the same all the time, does it? As you go along, everything changes. And I mean, in those days, at committee meetings, you wouldn't dare call the president or the secretary by their first name. It was Madam Secretary, Madam President.
I think the membership were much younger.
Yeah.
Because we didn't go out to work.
That's right, yeah.
And it was our evening off if we could get husbands to get home. And
Like if you went to the annual general meeting in the Albert Hall of the
Oh,
whole
yes.
organisation,
Yes.
you would never have dreamt of going
Without a hat, would you?
or gloves. And this was June, and you wouldn't have dreamt of going without having gloves or a hat on and your best suit.
And we did have a little phase where we went round the elderly and helped put them to bed and things. But what happened was that the elderly didn't want to go to bed when the WI wanted to. Do you remember that?
Vaguely,
They didn't
yeah.
want to go to bed at 7 o'clock. Well,
Yeah.
so that sort of fizzled out.
But I mean, we used to have lots of theatre trips, didn't we?
Yes.
Every November we'd go to London and get a coach, and we'd go to London and shopping in the morning and a show in the afternoon and come home at night and have a meal at the Catherine Wheel at Henley. But then when the IRA started all their bombing in London, it got a bit too sort of scary to go, so it just sort of fizzled out. But they were really lovely days, they were.
Well, there was always a party for the small children.
Yes.
And the bigger ones were taken to the pantomime.
That's right, yeah.
And automatically, that was the sort of odd thing.
Yes.
Whereas I think probably now the Parent-Teacher Association looks after that, or the various children's associations look more into what to do for the children than we do.
We have some very good speakers, and we learn a lot from it.
We used to have a drama group as well.
Yes.
And a choir.
And a choir, that's right.
This is
Yeah.
Longstaff's choir.
That's
Yeah.
right. And every Christmas,
And we took part in various
the drama group.
county choir
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, we used to go to Reading, didn't they?
Yes,
And we went into drama festivals, didn't we?
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Well,
Because
there
this
is
was
a-
basically more when we were in Berkshire, probably, than when
We came into
we were moved
Oxfordshire.
into Oxfordshire.
Yeah. But we had a very good drama group going, didn't we, at one time? Every year we did something for Christmas, didn't
Yes,
we?
yes.
Yeah, really good
Good efforts,
productions
yeah.
and a good laugh, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We did do some serious plays, you know, where we entered competitions and that. But we don't seem to do that anymore, do we?
Well, I think the trouble is the younger members possibly say they haven't got the time.
Yeah.
Whether they have or not, I'm not sure.
Do you think it made a difference to the village when it switched from being in Berkshire to being in Oxfordshire?
Initially, yes, an awful lot of people were very
Very annoyed about it
Andy.
at the time.
as far as the WI was concerned, it was very confusing because the National Federation decreed that villages that had actually been moved from one county to another could in fact stay in their original county, which we did for about just under 12 months, I think. And then they suddenly said, this isn't going to work, you've got to go where you've been put. And I was at the time, I was on a county committee and was working in Berkshire, although sort of we were in Oxfordshire in a way. And suddenly, after a year, 3 or 4 of us went into the Oxfordshire county. And in a way, we did our best they tried to welcome us and we tried to be pleased to be there. The Oxfordshire county, I think, found it very difficult. They, in fact, had bought themselves a new county house, and all the members had to produce a certain amount of money to buy this house. And as a result of being just that much later, they'd already bought it. So we didn't, that Harwell and all the other, all the institutes in this area didn't have to find the money. And I think it was a bit, on the other side, it was a bit, you know, you come in just after, why don't you help us? And they got a bit sort of shirty when we were sort of in Berkshire, we used to. In Berkshire, it was sort of, you're in Oxfordshire now, shut up.
I think you make a lot of friends through the WI, and I think we do support each other.
Yeah, definitely.
When needs be, you know,
Yeah.
sickness and
Yeah, the number of things you see in the national magazine of somebody who's been ill, and so how they have survived or by their own institute. I mean, you've got the calendar girls as a total example of what a WI did for one person. Okay, it moved into something beyond what they had imagined initially. But, and it probably made the WI grow up, I suspect, too.
well, in
Catherine.
here I just found when I was looking through it that in 1927, I think it was October or November, the WI provided chairs and tables and lamps and a piano. Oh, and it seemed that at the monthly meeting we didn't sing Jerusalem. If you look back, sometimes we started with John Peel and sometimes it was Annie Laurie.
I think we're very lucky with our village hall.
Yes,
I think,
it is.
Yes, it's,
Yeah.
I think it's, well,
But
it's
some-
nice and it's
Could the ceiling
homely.
be
and-
lowered?
Pardon?
Could the ceiling be lowered?
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, some village halls I've been in and
Terrible.
they're terrible,
Yeah.
but I mean, I think we are very lucky with ours.
Oh, yes.
Got nice floors.
But as you say, Margaret, I mean, if all these houses that are going to be built, if they're going to be built, you know, who knows? We've had some lovely times in this village hall and lots of happy memories, haven't we?
Yes.
Yeah.